Hello friends, how are you? Welcome back to the channel SK45, and in this video we are going to talk about the term called JavaScript Hoisting. Okay, I think you might have heard about this term JavaScript Hoisting. Uh, so before going to talk about the hoisting, let's run this program. You can simple see here the simple program where x is equal to 3 and console down. So node app.js. Okay, it's printing 3. Now before talking about hoisting, the simple thing we must understand is that it is the very the one of the most basic thing of the programming is called, this is called declaration, and this is called initialization. Okay, this is also called defining. Okay, defining or declaring, and this is called initialization. Okay, so the term hosting in JavaScript is what all about is. In JavaScript, basically, we can use the variable even before it is declared. Okay, like this. Okay, this program is valid in JavaScript. Okay, where x and this line before to the declaration. You can see it is printing with undefined, means x is perfectly fine but it does not have any value to it. Okay, um, so what does happen with the hoisting is, now let's try to do this program. Before talking something, let's try to do this. Okay, why it is printing 5 still? Do you see why it is we have assigned the value to it, but why not the 5 is printing? Because hoisting happens to the declaration only, not the initialization. Got it? Hoisting means what? When this code is absolutely fine. Okay, this code, this declaration, and using that variable before declaring is absolutely fine, because when the JavaScript engine compiles and runs this program, it adjusts to it. Okay, it actually format according to itself, and it would be something like this one. Okay, this program will be finally to the engine will be written like this. Okay, so only the declaration happened, initialization does not goes to the top. Okay, and I understand that there is a there is absolutely a reason why initialization does not go to the top, but we are not going to talk about that. Now come to the program, and let's try to do this with let also, let okay. uh, oh, what is this happening? Okay, see this here, it is saying a reference error, cannot access x before initialization, cannot access variable x before initialization when we change the var to let. Why this is happening? You remember when we had written var here, there was an undefined was printed to it, one defined was assigned to it by default, and undefined was initialized to it when hoisting happened. In case of variable, in case of var, the undefined key was undefined was by default uh, assigned to it. That's why the initialization error was not coming in case of var, but in case of let, the hosting happens, but the defined is not initialized to that by default. it was only defined to variable where. Okay, that is why in case of where we are not getting that reference error, we are getting this undefined value, but in case of let, we are getting that reference error because of the initialization error. Okay, so let's try to do assign that undefined to it also. But even though we are getting this reference error, why? Because as I said, hoisting happens of declaration only, not the initialization. So that's why even though I have assigned the value to it undefined, but it's not going to the top. It's not going to change the code like this at the compile time, run time to the JavaScript engine. It is only happening this. So that's why it is still it is still nothing initialized to x. That's why we are getting this initialization error. Okay, so there is one more point. Now when we define the declare here, I mean define the let x here, now we are getting that undefined. So hoisting is a different process. Hoisting is a separate process where uh, where it finds, where it takes all of the code to the all of the declaration to the top level. That is a different thing. Here it understands it differently. So don't worry about that. Okay, now it's getting undefined. Forget about it. Okay, one more thing I have to tell you, that the hosting happens at two level. Two level means uh, the script level and the function level. That means what? Let's see that. So here we have x, and we are going to write this program, and we are getting undefined. Now change this code to function. Okay, uh, this one. Okay, so this is completely fine. Means what? Okay, I have not called the function. Sorry, my bad. Okay, so uh, what is happening here is this where is hosted to the top of this function, not the top of this script. Okay, this variable is not hosted to here. This is internally hosted to here, because this declaration is in the function scope. So how we can validate this program? Okay, so let me try to do this is uh, write a line here called console.log and print the x here. So what we are going to get here? Undefined? No, we are going to get a reference error here. Okay. Uh, okay, so let me comment out this line for now. Okay, so we have declaration of variable x in the function, so it is hosted to the top level of this function. This is not available outside of this function, even though hosting happens. So we will get a reference error. See this, we are getting a reference error. X is not defined. Okay, now change the scenario. Change the scenario means define a variable x here. Okay, define the variable x here and try to use that in the console, sorry, in the function. So the script level or global level scope is bigger than this function level scope. So this variable, the hosting will happen to this variable also, but this would be in the broader scope. So this will be available to the function. So we are not going to get the reference error here. See, we are getting the undefined. Got my point? So internally, when hoisting happens, this will go to here. So obviously it will be available to this function. Okay. So the conclusion is that hoisting happens to global level and function level both. Hoisting happens to var keyword and let and constant keyword also, but by default undefined is assigned to var. That's why uh, we get this undefined printed. We get this undefined assigned to x. So we don't get that reference error. Okay, but in case of let, we get that reference error because um, default value is nothing to assign to that. Undefined is a default value assigned to variable var x, but not to let x. Okay, and one more thing I wanted to say, I forget it. Okay. Yeah, one thing I really want to read to that as hosted happen to declaration only, not the assignment. Okay, so I think we are good with this concept. Thank you. Take care.